there's the lots of schools of thought, and I kind of, go back and forth. Like the Ayn Rand school of thought is like,
Yeah.
that is the like purest form of how you should be living your life. And then there's the other version of that where it's like that is that's like a load of bullshit. You're
Destructive.
selfish.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you agree with me. I feel like eating soup is kind of a feminine thing. I'm not on board with it. Like, can you hear, like, women just, they love talking about soup.
Dude, I love the all in red pill space where it's just like, man ever eats soup. Like when it just gets so extreme,
Right.
like those guys.
We're using bookmarks. That's my favorite one.
See, that's a perfect example of like even the stuff we were talking about that I was saying, like, it eventually kind of a lot of people were saying it, right? And then I would say the same thing about that like red pill space where it's like, there was all these kind of like guru guys. And then
like Kevin Samuels, those kind of people.
And then you kind of saw a few people kind of popping up, making fun of them. And now that's like a genre of content on the internet, like making fun of those guys. And then eventually what always happens is the people making fun of the thing has outgrown the people actually doing the thing. And that's when you're in way too deep on this thing.
The well has definitely run dry. But I really do feel that way about soup. That's my sincere opinion.
Well, it depends on how you
soup
eat it,
is
right?
a feminine trait.
Eating it with a spoon's a little feminine. If you take the full bowl and you like just down it, I think that's pretty manly. You know what I mean?
That could work.
Eat the bowl afterwards.
Yeah, good point. Just throw it down and smash it. That's what Conan would do.
Yeah, you go kind of miso soup style. That's how you do it in a manly way.
Well, speaking of the sort of manosphere kind of thing, I wanted to ask you, you've made fun of it a couple times, but like the Andrew Tate thing is very, very interesting. You had the skit about the normal guy trying to be Andrew Tate or whatever. I thought he was hilarious at first, and I thought he was just completely trolling. And I still think maybe he kind of is, but there's a lot of people. Well, I think he's a terrible person, also, it should be clear. But there's a lot of people that take him seriously, and I'm just kind of surprised that people jumped on the Andrew Tate program the way they did. Where do you think that appeal comes from?
Are you? You're surprised?
I mean, I'm probably naive because, like, yeah, I'm just like, really? Like, I feel like half the time he's talking, you can see he's like trying not to laugh because what he's saying is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And his audience, like, just is all in on it.
I mean, I think
like he's literally trying to suppress a smile half the time when he's talking.
Well, there's like a lot going on at the same time, right? So the first part is that, a lot of the stuff he's saying he didn't invent, right? The same way that like, Jordan Peterson's saying a lot of like Carl Jung stuff, you know what I mean?
Right.
So like a lot of that stuff is like to some degree, and then it's mixed in with, kind of like jokes, and it gets a little wishy-washy, which is which, right? This is why some comedians are like, oh, I'm just making jokes. And you're like, sometimes you are, sometimes you weren't, you know what I mean? Like there's both kind of going on.
And you've got that escape hatch. If I say something that was actually really shitty, I can be like, oh, it's just a joke.
Yeah. Whereas I'm like, yeah, if you weren't joking, and sometimes be like, I'm just joking. It's like, okay, but you do think that though, right?
Well, yeah, but.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, then you weren't really, I don't know. It kind of goes, like there's, sometimes it is actually satire and sometimes it's, so there's both going on at the same time. But I think if you look at even, sometimes, like when people be like, oh, racism's more high after all that stuff. It's like, the same reason, if you took like some, kid that lives in like a bad area and everyone tells them they're bad, black or white, right? All it takes is one person to be like, no, you're not bad, dude. You're like, you're great. They're bad. You're the best. And it's like, you'll now do everything that guy says. You know what I mean? So many people are just so many dudes are just looking for like a little bit of encouragement. And I think with a guy like him, he hit all the things. He was kind of like, hey, you don't have to be embarrassed to like want to be great. You know what I mean? You don't have to be embarrassed to like want to have a car and a hot chick. Actually, it's sick. You know what I mean? So I think some of these, it's like people have these like sort of instincts inside of them, and nothing is in the world seems to be like speaking to them in a way that describes the way they actually think.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And you're like, dude, you don't have to be fucking embarrassed to be man. And then someone like comes along and says that, and that's like the first time it's like, thank you. Like that's what I've been kind of friggin' thinking now, which is, that should be kind of where it's, okay, I'm not crazy, right? Like it's someone telling you you're not crazy, right?
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, well, then once,
like you should recruit your sister to be a call girl for you. Like, all right, maybe we've gone too far now.
But like, so I get if you remove, I'm the type of dude that like, I do like listening to like like the Any Given Sunday football speech. Like,
Yeah.
I like watching like sports
Yeah.
documentaries to get me like hyped up on like, I should be fucking, I'm slacking. I should be doing better. Like,
It's like you put on the Patton speech in the morning when you're like brushing your teeth to get hyped for the day.
Yeah, dude. Do you know, like a lot of times, and again, this isn't just man, female, it's masculine, feminine, but like so many times people have made the observation that like guys therapy always kind of, talks like focuses on accepting when it should focus on like empowering, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
In a way, just being like, dude, like, okay, stop crying, stop being like,
Yeah.
some people do need that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And there is like, if let's say you're some 16-year-old, dude that's never, ever been able to get a girl, never like some of those guys might need someone to be like, stop crying, get in shape, like stop being a bitch. I mean, that's what the military probably is for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
So like that principle takes place. There are some times where you might need the opposite. Like, everyone might need someone to be like, and there might be some people that don't need that at all. Like there's some people that are like, yeah, I don't need like a speech like that. But there are some people that's all they needed is like a dad to tell them, an internet dad to be like, yo, get your shit together. And that was Jordan Peterson being like, yo, stop being a bitch, get your shit together, make your bed. And it's like, it's like almost like you were kind of like offshooting your accountability. You know what I mean? Oh, it's everyone like, and then they're just like, no, this is your fault. Like, and then it's
Jordan Peterson is such a good example of someone. At the beginning, what he was saying, like you said, is like very basic stuff that anybody should be on board with. And then he kind of gets lost in the sauce of maybe believing his own hype a little bit or being surrounded by too many people, like encouraging him to like say sort of increasingly crazy things. And then he like goes on this fucking like benzo fucking coma.
He's the best right now,
and comes
dude.
back and like I see he came back, like he started a YouTube channel a while ago, and I saw the first video he put out was called Hey Muslims, and I was like, oh my god.
We did a couple videos making fun of him. Like, he actually retweeted one, so he was like a good sport about it.
What is wrong with this guy?
Dude, people will say stuff on the internet and he'll retweet it and be like, why don't you say that to my face?
Right. Like, do you think you're intimidating, or like you're 60 years old starting fights with people on Twitter? Like, what is going on?
I am like somewhat of not a negative person in that, like, I try, obviously when you're commentating, I'm making fun of stuff.
Yeah.
But there's lots of people that I think like lost their minds online, but like made a good album or made a good TV show or made a good special.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, I don't know, Howard Stern would be like, maybe even one of those people where everyone's like, this guy is, and some people are like, hate him now. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I don't think there's much he could do to ever, in my mind, like outweigh how great he was. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of like, I'm usually like kind of, even like the craziest people, a lot of times there's some like good nuggets in there. So I really like to sort of like collect those and sort of add them to my own philosophy. But dude, he specifically, Andrew Tate's kind of like a self-parody the whole time, whereas Jordan
He knows what he's doing. Jordan Peterson is just he's on Planet Jordan.
You find it funny?
I think he's hilarious. I mean, hilarious to laugh at, not laugh with, just to be clear. He's on Planet Jordan, and it's amazing.